Even before Living Hope was started, I had a connection, some of our people in our church had a connection with Cooperative Outreach of India, been there several times. And over the years, Living Hope has continued to partner with them to support their work in many cities in India, but primarily in New Delhi. In the past, I had been there working with some other churches and with people from Living Hope to do some worship events, and Ravi, our main contact in the country now, invited us to come back and do more of that. We did some worship and training events, did an outreach event with them, and spent some time in their children's center and just spending time with the people from COI and seeing what their ministry is and seeing how we could connect Living Hope even better with them and with the country of India.
I went to India when I was 14 the first time and met Ravi, and this place that was truly like wild 25 years ago. The smells, the pictures, the food, the taste, yeah, everything was just still there, and I really wanted to see that again and make sure that the memory was like right. India is just a country full of like juxtapositions. Poor and rich and old and new, and even from like then and now, it's like completely crazy and completely upside down, but in a good way.
I've always had an interest in that culture, had never been to India before, and when David said a couple of years ago that was on the table possibly for a worship mission trip there, I was super interested. And it's an amazing culture, full of love, but also full of darkness and hopelessness.
We knew we were going to do several different worship training events in different cities. This is the first time actually I got to travel a good bit around the country, flying to some different cities, and to have worship leaders and pastors traveling hundreds of miles, some of them, to come just be together and to be able to worship together and to hear training on worship and ask questions. It was really refreshing. A lot of the same questions we would be asking, or that I would hear from worship leaders in America. Even though they're in a very different place, we're all struggling with a lot of the same things.
To hear the folks in the service, their voices being raised louder than our instruments and sound system was amazing. Just to be able to hear them singing and praising God louder than what we were doing there, it was really moving.
The very first event that we played, there was a point where we were probably like 3/4 the way through our music set. I just popped my in-ear out, and it was just like so much of the audience just singing, and it's all worship leaders. So they're singing at the top of their lungs. A lot of what COI is doing is training those people to not only do that, but also train others. And so that's pretty incredible.
John Piper talks about all the time, like, mission exists because worship doesn't. It is happening, but it's happening in small pockets in India. Less than 2% of 1.5 billion people know Jesus there. The sheer mass of that, it's very humbling when you're there. You see darkness all around. You drive down the street and you see statues that people are literally worshiping, and you feel the weight of that, and just the heavy heart of 1 billion people that have never heard the gospel. And it just puts a lot of things in perspective, and you're like, wow, what are we spending our time on? What are we spending our energies on? And what does God have for us? Those are the kind of questions I think that continue to kind of run through your mind in a place like that.